Okay, I was just listening to You'll Keep Me Hanging On by Kim Wilde. Well, it's quite a cliffhanger. The Meta, because Facebook got renamed as Meta, and you're trying to figure out what meta means. And, we had metadata that was being looked at by the NSA that Julian Sands of WikiLeaks told us about. What does meta mean? I think it means like. mm, Well, there's weird words with meta in them. Let's go over some words and try and figure out what meta means. Metamucil. The mucil part is mucilage, which is a word you'd get in food science. Mucilage is a plant product. We think it's slimy. Slimy? I think mucilage is slimy, but I'm not sure. Anyways, in food science, you can look it up and you get an answer. So that was Metamucil. And what does Metamucil do? Well, it gives bulk in your diet. And that's what the mucilage does because you add water to that stuff and it becomes bulky and it turns into poop and it's instant poop. That's what that does. It makes bulky poop. And if you had a bowl of raisin bran in the morning, well, you wouldn't need the Metamucil. It does the same thing. Metamucil. Why did they put Metamucil? Because it'd be just like, I don't know, instant poop. No one's going to buy it. I just don't know what meta means. Okay, what else do we have? Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. Well, morphosis is what actually happens because a caterpillar metamorphoses. It doesn't meta anything. I don't know what meta means. Why do you add that prefix? Meta is a prefix. You learned that in 8th grade. Morphosis is what that caterpillar is doing. It's doing a morph. Terminator 2 did the morph. It got shot and then there was bullet holes in that metal body and then it morphed back into like all those bullet holes repaired themselves. Christine, the car in the movie Christine, the Stephen King one, that one also morphed. It was all battered and broken up. Even the windshield morphed from a broken windshield into a brand new one. So metamorphosis, I don't know why they need this word meta. Because it's just a morphosis. Meta. What other words have meta in it? Metamorphic rock. It's the same thing. It's morphic rock. It changed from igneous rock or sandstone rock, and then under intense pressure, it was metamorphicated. It was morphed into a different kind of rock. What does the meta mean? Is meta just a stupid word that doesn't mean anything and you attach it to things to make it seem more confusing? Because so far we haven't come up with a definition of what meta is. Meta. Meta. Metamorph. Meta. Metabolic. Metabolic. Okay, what does that mean? It has something to do with your body burning energy. Metabolic. Metabolism. Metabolism. What is a bowl? That has something to do with energy in your body. Metabolism. Bowl is spelled B-O-L. Meta, B-O-L, ism. So you got a prefix of meta and a suffix is ism. So the only word that you've got about this body, we call it metabolism, but you get rid of meta and you get rid of the suffix. Meta prefix, suffix was ism. That leaves you with B-O-L in the middle. What does B-O-L mean? I know the answer, and it's not an English word. Now, I don't know what else you're going to come up with, because B-O-L means B-O-L. We don't spell a single word B-O-L in English. It's not an English word, but I did see the word one time. Maybe I've seen it more than that since then, but I remember the first time I saw B-O-L. My father had been over to, I think it was Amsterdam. And he flew back and he had duty-free booze. And it was B-O-L-S. And as far as I know, it's a form of gin. B-O-L is gin. So why is it that your doctor and the scientists are talking about the energy being used in your body and they're linking it to gin alcohol? Juniper berries flavoring vodka. That's what gin is. So subliminally, why are they linking you and booze? The answer is because before 1987, planet Earth was a hell world. It was. You can look it up. 1987, the harmonic concordance or harmonic convergence or something like that it was called. And people did a lot of work. Light workers of those days did a lot of work. And they got the collective consciousness of humanity over 200 on the scale of human consciousness. Because it was under that. And 200 is the level. Everything is negative under 200. And over 200, it's positive. Positive and leaning towards goodness, God. For me, good is God. And I know it's not really religious because it's tinged with religious, but in the end, I mean, Charles Ingalls, Mr. Ingalls, a Little House on the Prairie, he was a good man. And Mr. Edwards, his best friend, was a good man. And if you wanted to have a dad, didn't you want to have a dad that was like Mr. Edwards or Mr. Ingalls? Didn't you want to have that as a man that you could respect for your whole life because he's a good man? And I know he goes to church, but throughout his life, what is he all about? He's about Walnut Grove, his home and his family and people in his community. And yes, there might have been some times when he had to go to Chicago to visit the Grange meeting, and we're still trying to figure out what the Grange is today, but I think it's just a political action committee, modern day. Whatever the Grange was, that's what it is today. And he was a farmer, so it was supposed to be looking after farmer interests. So, that's what it was, a lobbyist firm. But he just had the feeling that he spent a lot of money and he got taken for a ride by the Grange because, in the end, I don't know. Willie Nelson was singing about it in the 1980s, we think it was, Farm Aid, because the American farmer was going broke because corporate farms were pushing them out. Okay, anyway, so we were talking about, good people in your community. And Mr. Ingalls and Mr. Edwards were good people because you knew you could trust those men to look after the children in every way that a man needs to because they were brought up right and those men know how to bring up children right. With a lot of love and a lot of heart and a lot of forgiveness and a lot of understanding that children make mistakes and sometimes children run away with their imaginations and sometimes they get involved with, pretending that they're the devil or something and then end up doing something horrible because they thought they were the devil and then learning out that something that they did when they were play acting was the devil. It actually hurt somebody. Or another time somebody didn't even know that anything they were going to do was ever going to hurt anybody, and they never ever wanted to hurt anybody, and something inadvertently that they didn't even foresee happened and it hurt somebody, and then they cried. They cried. I know the kid that they hit cried, but that person that didn't ever want to hurt anybody just did. And then they cried because they know they did it, and they never wanted to, but they still did it. And then they cried. Because it just comes on. It's very hard for a man to get past emotions when they come. And in the end, the best spiritual teachers say, in the end, don't bottle those emotions in, express them. Because if you bottle them in, they're going to get stuck emotions and you're going to get arthritis and cancer. Arthritis and cancer are caused because men are told, don't cry. And in the end, you're still going to be a man and try not to cry. But in the end, if you did, you did. And, that's because before you're a man, you're a human. And, at one point you were a little tiny boy that, didn't have control over their emotions at all. And in one way or another, that boy grew into you, that acorn grew into a walnut tree. Okay, well, we have to get back and back and back and back, and we have to go and say, well, okay, what is going on then? Hurry up with some words, hurry up with some words, hurry up with some words, hurry up with some words. I have to wait because I'm trying to remember now exactly what I wanted to say. And I didn't know because it was just like there was like this energy, perhaps we'll call it, there was like a feeling that wanted to be expressed in words. Because I just get these feelings sometimes that maybe these words are going to come out. Because it's just, anyways, it catches the body, and the body, next thing you know, it starts talking, and sometimes it grabs the phone, and sometimes it starts talking, and then it gets talked to the end of that talk thought, and we did. So whatever I was talking about, and then usually what happens is I get to the end of that talk thought, the end of the talking the thought, and I just talk to the end of that thought, and it's like, well, whatever that thought was that I just expressed, it's not coming back to even let me know that, whatever that thought was. It kept on going. It made me express whatever that words was. And it's expressed, and I don't feel like I even know what that thought was about. And that's because usually I come back and I have to rewatch these videos. Because then I do. I quite often, you're going to wonder, why do I bother making videos? Because later on, it could be months or even years later, because I've done this already.